It was the lowest at 7% interest, so I think it's great, yes.
Well, thank you all very much indeed. Back to you again, David.
Thank you, Ian. Well, that about wraps it up. Conference speeches are an art form, and Mrs. Thatcher demonstrated today that she has wholly mastered it. She had that audience in her hand. They laughed when she wanted them to laugh. She was fierce and ferocious when she wanted to be, and clearly herself in a very fine fighting form. As I say, they don't win elections, but it must serve to Labour as a warning of the kind of battle that's going to lie ahead and the ferocity with which the Conservative Party will undoubtedly fight it. What she had to say about Labour, the scathing remarks about Labour's policies on defence, the particularly scathing remarks about Labour's pretensions to be interested in all the things the Conservatives claim to be interested in only themselves, freedom from socialism and the rest of it, clearly lay the grounds for a big attack in the months ahead. So a formidable speech, the end of a fascinating party conference here in Blackpool for the Conservatives, conducted against a difficult background. Now Parliament reopens next Tuesday. There's still a lot of business to be got through. The state opening with the list of new legislation due isn't going to be held until November the 21st, quite a long time away. And that's going to be televised, and for the first time, perhaps they were practicing here this afternoon, all these politicians are going to appear on television doing their speeches, Prime Minister's questions and all the rest, so it'll be a fascinating experience. As for us, conference day tonight, I'll be talking to Douglas Hurd at 7:05 on BBC Two, but otherwise at the end of a long conference season from Ian Smith, Vivian Waite and myself, good afternoon.
This is BBC Two, and now we go over to the newsroom, where we join Chris Lowe.
From the newsroom, the main story is the Prime Minister has ended the Conservative conference in Blackpool with a powerful defence of her government's policies. With the Tories trailing Labour by more than 9 points in the latest opinion poll, she launched a sustained attack on the opposition, and she strongly supported her Chancellor Nigel Lawson for his handling of the economy.
Inflation will come down through the use of high interest rates, as it has in the past. And so it must, or the rest of the world isn't standing still. America, Japan, West Germany, they're all investing, modernizing and cutting costs. To stay competitive, we must do the same. We've laid the economic foundations of a decent and prosperous future. None of this would have been possible without the two finest chancellors of the Exchequer since the war, Geoffrey Howe and Nigel Lawson.
Mrs. Thatcher's speech came just a few hours after the news that inflation had edged up again. In the year to September, the cost of living went up by 7.6%, compared to 7.3% for the year to August.
This afternoon, the Chancellor said his high interest rate policy was the only alternative, and it was working.
You can't expect inflation to go down into a straight line. But inflation peaked last May, and it will go down further, and that is generally accepted.
The Labour Party this afternoon plans to seize the initiative on the economy, calling for immediate full membership of the European monetary system.
Well, at a time that real energy and commitment is needed, we find the Tories at their most feeble. Chancellor of the Exchequer yesterday made a half-an-hour speech without daring to mention the balance of payments, the currency crisis, or the questions related to the entry into the exchange rate mechanism of the European monetary system.
A 29-year-old man has appeared in court in Eccles in Greater Manchester, charged with the attempted murder of a motorist. Wayne Shaw, of no fixed address, was also charged with the kidnapping of 2 other motorists and with 3 armed robberies in the Greater Manchester area last month. He was remanded in custody for 7 days. Cannabis worth £5 million has been seized from a yacht which got into trouble off Falmouth. Armed police boarded the yacht when it radioed for help. It had been tracked by customs officers from 4 countries since leaving Gibraltar. A computer virus, which was apparently triggered to go off today, Friday the 13th, has damaged a system used to help blind people. It's affected the computer of the Royal National Institute for the Blind in London, destroying files. A candle has been lit in Bristol Cathedral for Tory Waite, the Archbishop of Canterbury's special envoy, who was kidnapped in Lebanon 1,000 days ago this Sunday. Prayer vigils are being held in cathedrals around the country over the weekend. That's it for the moment. The next news is the 6 o'clock news on BBC One.
Hello, brighter but colder weather is sweeping southwards across the country, and there's going to be a widespread frost, not tonight, but tomorrow night and early on Sunday. You can see the cold front, which is followed by the brighter, more broken cloud on the satellite picture, and in that cloud with plenty of showers in the north and west of Britain particularly, and a few in the south as well. Probably, we think, too much wind for any frost tonight, but nonetheless, a cold night, showers continuing mainly in the north and west. And those showers during tomorrow gradually becoming more and more confined to northern parts of Britain, with increasing sunshine in the south. A widespread frost tomorrow night, and then a lot of fine weather to start with on Sunday, but more rain and wind getting into the far northwest, we think, of Britain later on Sunday. And that's all from me.
This is BBC Two for the Midlands. Good afternoon. Now the regional news with sign language for the deaf. An inquest has been told that a Wolverhampton man killed himself by tying his own hands and feet and igniting petrol in his car. The body of Paul Beryl was found in the burned-out car on the hard shoulder of the M1 in August. The coroner in Northampton was told that Mr. Beryl had had domestic problems and feared he would be sent to prison. A High Court hearing brought by nuns trying to save their flock of hens from slaughter has been adjourned. The nuns have 5,000 hens at the monastery in Daventry, which the Ministry of Agriculture says are infected with salmonella. Today's hearing was intended to disprove the ministry's allegations, but the case was adjourned until Tuesday for the nuns to produce scientific evidence that there was no health risk. It's now believed that a fire in the centre of Shrewsbury in Shropshire was arson. Damage is put at £250,000. Only part of the front of the fabric shop in Princess Street remains, and building experts are checking if it's safe. Police in Cheltenham are still questioning 5 men from Northern Ireland arrested in the town centre yesterday. Officers are still at the hotel where they've been searching rooms in which the men have been staying since June. They're expected to issue a statement this afternoon. Under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the men could be held for 7 days without being charged or released. Saboteurs have caused extensive damage to a controversial development site in Nottingham.